Today's video, we will talk about someone who exactly documented the time when the Blue Lagoon was evacuated, and you'll be overwhelmed when you hear that time when the sirens went off and you compare this with the time that the eruption happened. And then you read the news that stated there was 30 minutes warning, and then you read the website of the Blue Lagoon that says they evacuated in time. Did they? Watch this video, guys. We will find out together and it will blow your mind. Good morning, guys. We have to talk about the Blue Lagoon again because there is a captivating story. And you know, what are the chances that exactly the night the eruption happens or the morning the eruption happens, because it happened in the morning, that there is someone in the hotel who's documenting his stay at the hotel, and of course documented everything that has happened, the evacuation. And we know they have said in the beginning that there was about a 40-minute warning towards the eruption, and then 2 days later they said it was only 30 minutes. And I have kind of doubted that because I watched the earthquake swarm. And I was thinking, I was sitting on the couch and I was thinking, wow, this looks like we're going to have an eruption, but there was no warning or anything. And then shortly after, we did have the eruption. So what the Icelandic MET Office says, that the earthquake swarm started at 5:20 and the eruption started at 6 a.m. So they said 6:02 a.m. before that, but it doesn't really matter. It's just 2 minutes. But imagine the story. There is a YouTuber who spends the night at the Blue Lagoon in a hotel. And of course, he knew that there is an eruption imminent. So at the beginning of his video, he films his arrival of the hotel. He wasn't there for the eruption or anything. He's just usually, I'll name his channel later, he's doing like travel videos and hotel checks. And you know, he spends nights in hotels and reviews them. Guys, since we're in the middle of the video, could you do me a quick favor? Could you leave this video a like and share it to whoever you know, to your Facebook sites, social media sites? That would absolutely be awesome. Push this video out in the world so that the algorithm grabs it and shows it to more people. And of course, please watch it till the end. That would be great too. And leave me a comment. Thanks so much, guys. And let's continue with the video. So he reviews the hotel. You see the Blue Lagoon and the spa and the hotel and how much everything costs. And by the way, it's really expensive to be in that hotel or to have dinner there. And then he goes to just a cafe, buys a sandwich in a plastic box and a cup of coffee, and he spends like 30 British pounds. And so that on a side note, but he films everything, how you walk outside on a little trail from the hotel to the Blue Lagoon, and everything is lava rock around that hotel and around the Blue Lagoon. So evidence that there has been an eruption in the past. And there's also like history signs that tell that there have been volcanic eruptions like 800 years ago. So he films that, and of course he says, well, I've got my bug out bag here with all my filming equipment and stuff in case that there is an evacuation and that there is an eruption, but I just hope it's not going to happen. So he films himself having dinner. So the interesting part is, and that really shows the dimensions, that you really have to, from one hotel, for example, you have to walk to the Blue Lagoon. You have to get outside if you want to get into that big pool. And what it also shows is when you're in the pool and it has 38 degrees Celsius, so it's really hot water, warm water, like a hot bathtub. There's a lot of steam because especially right now since it's winter, so there's a lot of steam. You can't really see much, and that pool is really massive and big. And if you're in the middle of the pool and there might be an evacuation order, wow, that is hard to get out. And if you're in panic, to orient yourself. And even if there's staff, they can't jump into the water. They don't even see you where you are. So there was a risk. I mean, this is not fear mongering. The experts have said there could be a risk that there could be an eruption inside the Svartsengi area, inside the protection dikes, because that magma chamber is right underneath and it kept like filling up. Then magma intruded or erupted somewhere else. Then it was subsiding, filling up, subsiding, filling up. You can only do that so many times and then the crust gets brittle. So that's why there is a risk that it could erupt to the surface right there. And they're saying these eruptions could become a monthly thing. So sooner or later, maybe we will see something there. Hopefully never, ever. But also, the current eruption, once you see really the dimensions and you see this picture here that the Met Office has released, how close the Blue Lagoon is from that eruption. And then that lava was flowing so fast. It has done like 4.5 kilometers towards the Svartsengi area and the Blue Lagoon just on eruption day. So I don't worry about the lava. There is enough time to evacuate people until the lava comes. Although the lava has flown over the main evacuation road, Grindavik. But that on a side note, that's not what I worry about. I always said what worries me about the Blue Lagoon is if an eruption happens inside Svartsengi, you do not have enough time. And especially now, since the magma has already formed tunnels and ways, so it doesn't have to create new tunnels, so there's less earthquakes, less warning. But you know, the magma doesn't need to travel if it erupts right there in Svartsengi. It just does have to get to the surface, so it doesn't have to travel far. Imagine on November 10th, it was traveling from Svartsengi, creating a tunnel and using the old fissures to go towards Grindavik and underneath Grindavik and into the sea. And the same thing, the January 14th eruption, it was traveling at the doorstep of Grindavik and then burning 3 houses there. So it had to travel ways. So that's why from the time that it started to travel and we saw the earthquake swarms, there was a little time passing until the eruption. But if it erupts in Svartsengi, there is not much time. It just has to go straight up. And that's why I always said, if the eruption is imminent, why don't you evacuate the Blue Lagoon early enough so they knew it's coming in the next few days and they let the people stay overnight, as they did before the January 14th eruption, as they did before the December 18th eruption, and then they open up shortly after. So they have announced right now that they want to open up again on the 12th. But, and here comes the story, and this is what's so interesting. So the guy goes to sleep in his hotel room, and then the sirens go off, and he films it. And this is the key point. He films the time. And the time when the sirens go off is 6 a.m., guys. 6 a.m. That's when the eruption started. And then he's like, oh, why are there sirens? And then he films out of the window and you can see the eruption. And he says, oh, I guess this is why. So no warning, the eruption had already happened. No warning for the hotel guests. So imagine the eruption had happened inside Svartsengi at a time when guests were still inside the water. So this is what I don't understand. So, and his video shows how scary this was and how close. Who tells the magma to stay away and not go like a few kilometers, 1-2 kilometers further towards that area, especially since the magma chamber is right underneath. So he films this, how he needs to get out, and basically he asks some staff and he says, well, I've got a flight going out later today at the airport, and they're saying, well, better go to the airport straight away. So he has his rental car down in the parking lot and he films that, and basically he's on his own. He just gets into his rental car and he drives out of there, and you see the massive yellow eruption as if it was on his windshield. And he says, in his car, he says, I can feel the heat. I can feel the heat in my car. This is how close this was. So it was basically, to me, it felt like, okay, get the guests out of the hotel, bye, you're on your own. So I I didn't see any police or anyone like guiding them where to go. I mean, they're tourists. Maybe they drive in the wrong direction towards Grindavik or who knows what, right? So this tells me there was no warning. And that is kind of what I find has not been mentioned and has put under the rug a little bit. So I know the Blue Lagoon is an important tourist destination. I'm using the year 2019 because after that there was COVID, so these numbers do not really count too much. So 2019, 2 million tourists in Iceland, and 1.3 million of these 2 million did go to the Blue Lagoon. So I have read reports that the Blue Lagoon makes a profit of around 80 million US dollars per year, and it's owned by several funds like pension funds, investment companies. The power company still holds like around a little bit over 30%, but it's changing. They had made some offers. There's also out of country investors. So the question is, who's making the money from this? Of course, the state is probably making the money from taxes, and of course it creates jobs. It's big. The YouTuber says in his video he doesn't like it. It's too modern, but it's really well done. It's a really cool place. It's super expensive. Spending the night there is super expensive. I think he spent like $580 in one of the not so nicely located rooms, but he says they go up to like $2,000 per night if you want to be in the main area that's directly at the Blue Lagoon. And where he spent dinner, this was like a 7-course dinner, like very fancy, very expensive. I think it was $200, or was it pounds? I'm not really sure. Just for him alone to dine there. So it's not really a burger and fries place there. So I was surprised at how expensive it was, but that's not my point. It's probably worth it because it's a stunning place, definitely. But what is stunning to me, the sirens go off at 6 a.m. And I really recommend watching his video. His name is Walk With Me, Tim. Then you can see for yourself and let me know what you think, because sirens at 6 a.m. and it shows in his video when he drives out with his car, it was 6:23, so 23 minutes. Had the eruption started right there, lava then flows very, very fast. The road might already have been gone, or maybe the eruption might have been across the road already to begin with. So why take the risk? I have to ask again, why take that risk? I don't really understand it, and I keep saying the same thing all over again before every eruption and after every eruption. So guys, watch that video. I have to say thank you so much for watching, and of course I'll give you more updates, but I'd really like to discuss this with you because I'm really thinking, is it just me who thinks this is crazy, or are there other people who think this is crazy? I mean, and since I've seen that video, it really blew my mind, because I really understood they're having these sirens, but they're way too late. The eruption had already started. So as there was a definitive risk that has been stated from scientists and geologists that it could erupt inside Svartsengi, and they had absolutely no warning for the tourists. No warning. So it's not that the hotel was evacuated before the eruption started, but it also states on their website that they have basically been evacuated in time, and I completely disagree with them because it was not in time. The eruption was happening when they evacuated the people, and they were just lucky that the eruption did not happen inside Svartsengi, because in 23 minutes, if you watch the live cams, how much lava was flowing and how quickly, this could have been an absolute disaster. And it's not that, if you see in the video the volcanic rocks and the landscape, it's not that if the main road is cracked or there's an eruption through the main road or a lava flow that you can start running cross country, because you can't. It is an old lava field with rocks all over the place. You're not walking there and you're not running. No way. So you have to take the roads that are there. There's one main road, there's some smaller roads, but it's in the dark, and if you're a tourist, you have no way to find them because you don't even know that they're there probably. You know how you came in, and that's how you think you go out. And as I said, there was nobody following him or guiding him or anything. The one he has filmed is that a guy told him, well, go straight to the airport. Maybe he gave him a description on where to go. But if you're in panic, in shock, in panic, and you're not thinking so straight, you're really in the darkness, you might go the wrong way. So guys, this was my update to this. This is a serious one, I think. Let me know. Thank you so much for your support through all of this, guys. For the supers you keep sending me. For the coffees you keep buying me on my site, buymeacoffee.com. They were badly needed during the eruption day. I didn't get much sleep. Rudy did, as you have probably seen in my last videos. So thanks for that, guys. And I see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.